This season's FNCS is providing upsets. We just had Heat 2 and a lot of big players did not qualify through to Grands. I'm talking MrSavage, Tayson, Vanya, Seti. Today I'm recapping the whole Heat for you, who made it to Grands, who struggled. Let's get straight into it. So the most high profile team that did not make it to Grand Finals was MrSavage and Velo. The Heats just did not go to plan for them. They were contested over at the south side of Frigid Fortress and that certainly did not help them. In game 2 they went down early off spawn, they went for the slurp truck and got caught out. Savage ended his stream straight after, so the vibes were not good. In game 1 they actually had a huge amount of luck. The zones were perfect for them. One of them literally pulled over their old surge base. Unfortunately they went down early and they couldn't capitalize on that opportunity. The next 3 games were better. They finished inside the top 20 in all of them, but they weren't able to have that big pop-off game to get points on the board. I would imagine these guys stick for LCQ. I do still think Savage and Velo is a duo with a lot of potential, and as I've mentioned a ton of times before, I like the dynamic a lot with Savage as the IGL, Velo as someone who can play as the support player. I think it works super well, and I am a bit concerned that they didn't look like getting a win in this tournament, as in the LCQ you are going to need to win a game, so we're going to need to see some improvement from Savage and Velo, but I do believe they have it in their locker to still make Grand Finals. Another big team that struggled in Heats was Seti and Rax. These guys could only manage a 35th place finish, and honestly since they reunited they have not looked good at all. They didn't make either of the Divisional Cup finals this season. In the set lobbies they've just not been at it, and it's interesting because at the end of 2025 they were looking so good together, and then of course Rax decided to drop Seti in order to play with Queasy. That didn't work out. They ended up reuniting, but it just hasn't looked the same since. They haven't been able to hit the heights that they managed previously, and I do wonder if potentially this duo could split. Maybe Seti will go and pick up an underrated Polish player. There's plenty of potential options for Rax out there too. I saw on Twitter that he was pretty upset by the result, but he is a huge prospect, someone with undeniable talent, and he will have great results in years to come. He's got a big career ahead of him, but it has to be said that yesterday was a big disappointment. Not even finishing inside the top 20 in any of their 5 games. It's not really good enough from a team that we would be expecting to comfortably make Grand Finals. Vanya and Wox also failed to make it through. This is a duo that have been pretty up and down since they formed, but it's fair to say that neither of them have hit the heights they managed in 2025. With Latte landing uncontested and of course that super launchpad that they have access to, I would have expected them to easily qualify. They were only 11 points off, but with the quality they have, with what we've seen from these players in the past, and of course with their favourable drop spot, I would have expected them to do way better. We also had Tayson and Ghost miss out. They were struggling throughout the whole tournament. They were contested over at Squibbly Shores and they just weren't able to win those fights consistently. They nearly brought it back right at the end. They came second in game 5, narrowly missing out on the win, losing a 2v2 to Dinas and Franek. But I will say this is a duo that I hope sticks together. I like the dynamic here. Tayson is obviously a very experienced player, and then with Ghost you have a very strong fighter, someone who will only improve in the future. He's from Greece, so he plays on about 50 ping, so if he can get to 0 then I'm sure we'll see a huge surge in his performances. The fact that he is so good on high ping is very impressive. I want to get into all the teams that did qualify, but there were 2 more big teams that missed out. We had Kiro and Uppal not qualify. This was a surprise to me. I did think these guys had enough about them to make it. They did really well in the play-ins, and then of course Uppal won 3 out of 3 games in that solo victory cup the other day, which was super impressive. Unfortunately they just couldn't put it together on the day, and Kaisers and Gonzo failed to make it. They finished in 17th, only 9 points off qualification. They've been very good since forming. Gonzo obviously a very bright up and coming player. Kaisers also super underrated, just couldn't make it work for them this time. Now it's important to mention that it's not fully over for any of the duos that I've just mentioned. We do still have the LCQ round, which grants 5 more spots into Grand Finals, so it's not over for these teams yet. Now listen, let's get into all of the teams that did qualify. We'll start off with the game winners. We had Yanis and Cheatin win game 1. They've not been crazy so far this season. They missed out on both of the Divisional Cups, but they showed their quality here. One and done, very impressive stuff. Yanis is someone who is completely at home in the FNCS finals, being a 4 times champion, so it would be good to see him there. We had Scary Sean and Sayaz make it, the best Spanish duo in the world in my opinion, so no shocks there. Dew and Cantry also qualified. This was after a bit of a sell from Azatgo and iFrozy. The clips on screen now. Azatgo and iFrozy did end up qualifying anyway, but this was kind of funny. We then had Reason and Noah Rayleigh make it. They were rolling back for years. I mean, back in chapter 2 this would have been the best fighting duo in the world. They were so good during that period, but I don't want to reminisce too much. Reason did hit back at Velo for some of the comments he made midweek, where Velo stated that Reason was the past. It's great to see that Reason can still perform at the highest level. I have to say, after Globals, when he stopped playing the game as much, when he started doing more IRL content, I did feel like he may fall off in the competitive sense, but that hasn't happened quite yet. Reason's still looking very good, and long may that continue. The final game was of course won by Dinas and Franek, who denied Tayson and Ghost the opportunity to make grand finals. This is a very exciting Polish duo. These guys looked great with Gierash last year, and they're building on that experience now. Now, because so many big teams missed out on grands, we had a lot of underrated up and coming duos qualify, which I'm super happy about. Although one team that is not up and coming is Swizzy and Pixie. They dominated the consistency leaderboard, finishing in first. They also, as you can see, did very well in the Osarion stats. Swizzy had the most damage and the most eliminations. No shocks here. From uncontested Dark Dominion, these guys were always going to put on a performance. We had Burke and Zany make it through. This Danish duo were landing at the north side of Battlewood Boulevard. They were coached by Sky and Scroll, which helped them out a lot. They did well in the off spawns. They looked good in the end games. Credit to these guys. We had iFrozy and Azet Go make it through. Despite their selling game free, they were able to recover and get enough points, so credit to them. We had the underrated team of Ghosty and Glove make it, as did Forg and Sizing, a Spanish duo. Loving the Nagy reference in the name there. He also hit a good clutch, which is on screen now. I'll keep saying it, it is brilliant to see so many new names in the grand finals. It's been like 9 months since the last FNCS, so there's absolutely no surprises that we're seeing a huge changing in the guard. The future is now. Shaykos and Tyleo qualified out of the Forest split. We also had Khan and Faded Pigeon make it. They are of course qualified to the Esports World Cup LAN, but this will be Khan's first ever FNCS Grand Finals, so congratulations to him. We had Danda, Puzo and Werex qualify. They needed a big last game to make it through, but they clutched up the 3rd place to secure their spot in Grands. These guys were my dark horse pick from the Nothing But Fortnite EU versus NA draft, so I'm glad to see that they have at least made it to Grands as a minimum. I do believe they'll get to the Summit LAN as well. They have a lot of quality. They actually came second in game 1, so they nearly qualified straight away. It was a bit ropey in the middle of the COP, but they got it over the line in the end. Louis and Rigby made it through. Nice to see yet another underrated UK team qualify after we had Josh Bot and Nero make it from Heat 1. And finally we had Alvin and R3X make it. This really was the heat of up and coming teams. Now we are going to take a look at the current Grand Finals map, but before then I have an update from Heat 1. Vico and Malibuca have now qualified for Grands. If you watched my previous video, you'll know that they finished in 16th place in their heat, 1 place off qualification. Well, one of the duos above them did get banned. That was the Spanish team of Adriat and Vegeta. If you don't know, Adriat was the guy who was in Division 5 only 2 months ago and played the tournament out of a car park. It was a great story, and it's pretty gutting that it's ended up in a ban, but the silver lining is that Vico and Malibuca will be in Grand Finals, and they will be landing over at Frigid Fortress. That's right, they won't be going to Wonky Land. They will not be following through with what they said about landing on Sharkantini, so they are safe for now, but tensions are still high after the W King incident. Go back and watch my last video if you want to know more about that. And here's the current Grand Finals map with 2 out of 3 heats played. As you can see, it's starting to fill up, although we do have some drop spots that are being left for their owners. The Mountain for Chap and Flixie, North Battlewood for Sky and Scroll, and of course Sandy Strip for Chino and Pablo Wingu. The big news, however, is that iDrop and Marius will be going to Latte Landing. That's right, they will not be contesting Squibbly Shores, which is good news for Fredoxy, although he probably won't be happy that Noah Rayleigh and Reason are now going to be landing there. So should Fred make it through heats, he will still be contested in Grand Finals. If you missed what happened in Heat 1, click the video on screen now. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next one.